My name is Hayley, and when I was in the second grade, I had the privilege of being introduced to American Sign Language. And this allowed me to learn some of the basics of signing, such as the alphabet or saying yes or no, or please and thank you. And this knowledge enabled my class to communicate with the deaf and hard of hearing students. It also allowed for less classroom disruptions when we are having quiet time in order to interact with our teacher as well. So American Sign Language is a language that employs signs made with the hands and other movements, including facial expressions and postures of the body used primarily by people who are deaf. So it is actually claimed to be the fourth most commonly used language in the United States. And the National Center for Health Statistics estimates that 28 million Americans, which is about 10% of the population, have some degree of hearing loss. About 2 million of these 28 million people who are classified as deaf, meaning they can't hear everyday sounds or speech even with a hearing aid, those are classified as deaf. Only about 10% of these 2 million people were born deaf, and the other 90% became deaf later on in life. So when I was learning this back in the second grade, I originally viewed this signing as a fun learning experience that I could enjoy practicing with my fellow classmates. However, as I got older, I realized how beneficial it could actually be to utilize it in everyday life. So today we will examine how you can vastly benefit from having a basic knowledge of sign language incorporated in your own life to create a better work environment, build a stronger connection with infants and children, and reinforce your nonverbal communication and listening skills. One benefit to having knowledge of basic signing is that it provides an opportunity for more inclusivity in the workplace for both the workers and the consumers. The ADA National Network website explains how the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, became law in 1990, and it is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life. The purpose of this law is to make sure that people with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else, such as jobs and services. So specifically in this act, Title III of the ADA pertains to public accommodations and services and directs businesses to make reasonable modifications to their usual ways of doing things when serving people with disabilities, as well as requires that businesses take steps necessary to communicate effectively with customers with vision, hearing, and speech disabilities. The passing of this act has led to an increased number of people becoming part of the workforce, causing many institutions to make their workspace more accessible to the hearing impaired community, either by employing interpreters or by training their employees in American Sign Language, thus empowering and providing more opportunities for their workforce. So a really great example of this is actually the corporation Starbucks. They have provided training tutorials for their employees to teach them some of the basic sign languages so they can better interact with their guests that are coming in to purchase products. And they also have a screen in their drive-through that if somebody is not able to speak or hear them, they'll put the screen up so that the workers can sign back to them through the drive-through as well. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you guys some options that they have. So if you go on YouTube, you can see that there's a couple of different tutorials that Starbucks has. So they have the ASL Signs tutorial, and then they also have some videos that show how they were able to incorporate this in guest interactions, such as this one where the guy was going through the drive-through and they were able to put the camera on to sign back to him. So it's really cool. And then this one, they also explain how they have a store specifically in Washington, D.C. that is Duolingo. So it actually employs people that are mostly or 100% deaf in the D.C. store because there is a school in D.C. that is devoted to deaf people. So they interact with a lot of those people as well. So it just creates a better community for them. So I would highly encourage you to check out this video in your free time. So this is a really great example of how it can be incorporated in your work environment and how it can create a better environment for the workers and the people that are coming in. I personally wish that I could have benefited from that because I work in hospitality. And that is something that could have been utilized a lot because I work in a business that comes face to face with a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life. And so I think it's a bonus if somebody can come into a business and train their people to learn sign language. So another idea that is beneficial for learning sign language is being able to communicate with infants and children. Communication is one of the most crucial aspects of any relationship, so there must be a foundation of language to build upon a relationship and meet the needs of that individual. In communicating, there can be frustrations and struggles, especially when talking to a child that is very young and has trouble telling you what they need. So we know oftentimes when children need something and they can't communicate it, they'll babble or they'll scream and throw a tantrum. Sign language can be really handy in this situation because it closes the gap between the language barriers of adults and children. Babies and young children are able to move their hands better and far earlier than their vocal cords develop. As a result of learning baby sign language, these children that utilize baby signing often learn to speak earlier in life and have a larger vocabulary. Infants from the age of 6 months of age can begin to grasp the basic signs, and research has shown that demonstrating basic signs to hearing babies can enhance their cognitive development, may lead to a richer, more positive interaction and bond between parent and child. And that is from Lead with American Sign Language. So I personally have experienced this as well when raising my son. My family really encouraged learning sign language to help, especially during mealtime. So one of the things that we did was when he was hungry and he wanted more but couldn't communicate it, we taught him how to say more. And he picked up on that really fast. And then another one was being able to say please. So just rubbing your chest like that and saying please. And then when he was all done, he was able to let us know that he didn't want any more food just by going like this and saying all done. And that really helped lower the tantrums, especially during mealtime. And it just helped us bond a lot better as well. So I highly encourage people to learn sign language so that they can benefit from this anytime they have to interact with children. And the final idea for the benefits of learning sign language is that it creates better nonverbal communication and active listening skills. So when you're reading sign language, you're not just reading somebody signing with their hands, you're also reading their lips and you're reading their facial expressions as well as their body expressions. So it's not just talking with your hands like a lot of people assume. It's a full body experience in order to express feelings and emotions and what is behind the language. So you have to pay attention to non-manual markers, such as somebody smiling or frowning when you wrinkle your eyebrows, or if you have a question, you might raise your eyebrows. If you're sad, you kind of hunch over with your body, or if you're excited, you might be like this. So according to the NAD.org, American Sign Language is a visual language with signing. The brain processes linguistic information through the eyes. The shape, placement, and movement of the hands, as well as facial expressions and body movements, all play important parts in conveying information. Lead with American Sign Language states that when speaking in sign language, it's not just about looking at the hand gestures, but it's also about the facial expressions, lip reading, and also observing the body language. So a really great example of this is watching interpreters at concerts. It would be so easy for them to just sign the lyrics, but that doesn't create a really good sense of communication for those that need that. So what they do is put their whole body into it, and they also utilize their facial expressions when interpreting music as well, so that the people that are watching signing during the songs, they can just feel the sense of emotion that is behind the lyrics instead of just seeing the lyrics being signed. So after going through all of these examples of how it can benefit the workplace, how it can benefit being able to communicate with children, as well as working on your nonverbal skills, this is something that I think everybody can benefit from. And what I would encourage you to do today is to just go online and see how easily accessible these tutorials are and the ability to learn from them. So I'll show you real quick just how easy it is. Just being able to go onto YouTube, I simply typed beginner ASL for American Sign Language, and already it just pulls up so many different tutorials. There's 20 plus basic sign language phrases for beginners, 25 basic American Sign Language signs for beginners, just so many different options that are free to all of us to learn from. You can spend 10, 15 minutes a day just going through the basics, and it would make such a big difference in your life for your work or your personal life. So I highly encourage that. And then I also encourage people to go to their jobs as well and talk to their companies about being able to incorporate these types of learning aspects with their employees. You can actually set up training sessions with people that will come in for a couple of hours a day and just go over the basics of American Sign Language with the employees so that they can better interact with their guests. And then you can even take classes online, $25 classes if you'd like, to just benefit yourself. But I think everybody should go out there and do it. It's only a positive thing to have in your life, and you're going to be interacting with so many people throughout your life. Anybody can benefit from that. So thank you.